Hello guys and welcome back to the channel and to a little bit of a different video today. We are going to be ranking on a tier list some disturbing horror movies. Now I have stolen this shamelessly from the channel Spookyastronauts. Emma, who is amazing, she did put a link in the comments to this tier list if anyone else wanted to do it, which I'm doing today. I will try to remember to put a link in my comments so that you can do it also. And also the site that it's taken from has loads of other tier lists for different movie tiers. So you can maybe find some on there and we could have some fun with that. So let's get this old screen recorder on so you can see what we're looking at. So I'm going to explain the tiers first of all. So you can see at the bottom here, we've got some movies. There's a couple of rows, so that's just the first row. So the top of the list there, truly traumatizing. This is the worst of the worst. This movies you would never watch again that completely traumatized you. Next is quite similar, vile, evil, shock value. So you've watched it, it's really, really shocked you, it's disgusted you, it's been difficult, but you might watch it again. Next one, extremely disturbing but camp. That's a really weird title. Now Emma described this as being a movie that maybe has loads of gore and shocking scenes, but a kind of almost like a light take on it. I'm sort of assuming things like Evil Dead, things where you're looking at something really like awful, but you can't help but laugh at it. Next one's so disturbing it stays with you. So that's going to be something that you've watched that's freaked you out, that's disturbed you, that you've thought that's awful, but you've thought I love it, and you'll watch it again. Disturbing scene or aspect is the next one. So that's a movie, I'd be lumping things like Hereditary in here because there's a specific scene in the movie that's disturbing, but overall it's not a disturbing movie in its entirety. And last of all, this is just horror, so it's just a horror movie. There's nothing specifically disturbing in there, and that's going to be different for everyone. Everyone's line's in a different place, so obviously remember that as I'm going through. Obviously I will do things and put things in tiers that you won't agree with. Feel free to let me know your thoughts below. Feel free to do the tier list yourself. So let's get cracked on, guys. So first of all is a Serbian film. I will say before I start, I may not have seen all of these movies. I will let you know if I haven't. So a Serbian film I have seen, and it goes to the top of the tree. Truly traumatizing. This movie is very well made. It's very well acted. The special effects are fantastic. I just feel that certain storylines push the boundary beyond my comfort level. They weren't needed, and I think the fact the director tried to hide behind the fact that he said it was a political allegory for an allegory for the political situation in Serbia. I do have a review of a Serbian film on YouTube if you want to seek it out. I tear it a new arsehole. I really was not happy once I watched it, which is it's difficult because it's a really well done movie. And other than two scenes in this, there's a scene near the end, there's a reveal. If you've seen it, you will know. Even if you haven't seen it, you'll still probably know. And there's a scene in the middle with a newborn baby. No. Way beyond my comfort zone. Something I would never watch again. Which, as I say, is sad because the movie without that in it is actually, it's still a disturbing, strong movie. You didn't need to step over that boundary. Cannibal Holocaust, they're hitting us with all the big boys. That's going up there. Actually, let's take it down here. So, I can't watch this again either because of the animal stuff in it. If you're not aware, this is obviously a cannibal horror movie, but there are depictions of real animal deaths and cruelty in this. There are justifications for this, apparently to do with tribes and where they're filming, and the animals were going to be killed anyway. I just don't want to see that on film. I don't want it to be put somewhere for entertainment value, and I certainly don't want to see animals being killed, whether it be... I won't even watch nature documentaries because I don't want to see one animal kill another, and I hate it. I'm like, why can they not do cut versions for me and for kids that don't want to see zebras being hauled down in the Serengeti by a lion? You know what I mean? I don't want to see it. So there is a version, John from Mondo Chelovic Movies, who is the master on video nasties, of which this was one. This was a banned one. If you don't know and you're in the US and you've never heard of video nasties, there was a list compiled by the BBFC, British Board of Film Classification, who they decided they were going to ban these really horrendous horror movies, and they became known as video nasties. Now most of them are no longer banned. This was on the banned list. I, with a friend, did a written review log of loads of video nasties. We used to watch one every week and review it, and this was one of the ones I watched. There is a version that John informs me you can watch without the animal stuff in. Happy days, because without that, the film is actually pretty decent. I actually thought it was a good movie, but those bits, no. So it's Vile Evil. Check it out. It's going under there. Alright guys, I've tried to make the screen a little bit bigger so we can see stuff. This is the guinea pig movies. I have seen 1 or 2 of these. It definitely shouldn't be under This Is Not Horror. I am going to say So Disturbing It Stays With You. The guinea pig movies are basically just movies of people being tortured. That's it. There's no storyline. It's just people being tortured. It's not my bag. It's not my cup of tea. So that's going under So Disturbing It Stays With You. Hereditary. I am going to put that under disturbing scene or aspect, even though I'm tempted to put that under This Is Just Horror, because certain things work for certain people, and for me there are 2 scenes in Hereditary that totally creeped me out. One of them is near the end. Actually there's 3 scenes, and it's not the one in the car that I'm thinking of, although that would be disturbing probably for most people. All of the scenes that really disturbed me involved, why do I always forget this woman's name? Why do I always want to call her Tandy Newton? I know it's not Tandy Newton. Forgotten her name again. I cannot remember this woman's name. Scenes near the end in the attic. And they're both very... okay, I'm going to say what they are, because if you haven't seen it, you're not a horror fan. The headbanging scene and the neck scene, and then there's a scene in the background where you see something crawling across a wall in the middle of the... And all 3 just creeped me the hell out. So it's going under disturbing scene or aspect because it worked for me. Next is Hostel. Again, this is just torture movies, but I'm going under This Is Just Horror for that. I think it's pretty typical of horror nowadays. I don't mind the Hostel movies. I don't feel they're anywhere near as good as the Saw movies. Even with the issues we have with the Saw movies, I feel there's a little bit more cleverness in the storyline with Saw. I love the fact that there's justification. I love the thought of what the trap is in comparison to what the person's done. Hostel's like Saw without any of that in it. It just wasn't. The special effects are fantastic, but torture movies aren't for me. And you're going to say, what? You like Saw? I don't know why, I just feel differently about Saw. So the next one is, I can't see what half of these are until Human Centipede. Right, we'll put that under disturbing scene or aspect. I quite enjoy the Human Centipede movies. I know a lot of people don't. I know they're too much for most people. If you haven't heard of them, you can have a Google as to what a human centipede is. It definitely does have you thinking, is it possible to watch that movie without thinking, if that were me, where would I want to be? Very clearly at the front. No, imagine being in the middle. Oh, Jesus. No. So I'd be at the front of the Human Centipede if I must. People say to me, why do you think things like that? Is it just me, or do you think, where would you be in the Human Centipede? So yeah, there are disturbing aspects or scenes, especially in the 3rd one. There's a scene with a baby again that's a bit like, Jesus Christ, they didn't really need to put that in. But I don't find them as disturbing as most people do, other than obviously the mechanics of what they're doing. So I'll put that under disturbing aspect, as it's a bit disturbing what they're doing, isn't it? What's this one? I can't bloody see it. Oh, that's Human Centipede as well. It's Human Centipede 3, so we're going to get all the different ones. So that's the one with the baby, and it'll go in there. This is another Human Centipede. Is that the second one? No, that's the first one. I'm going to put them all here. I Spit on Your Grave. I'm going to put that under So Disturbing It Stays With You. Did I just move something else? I don't know. I've put that there because The Woman Gets Revenge. I don't tend to like SA movies. I don't tend to like the perspective that is shown from the point of view of a assault scene is not a scene to show titillating images of a woman's body. I find it really vile. I hate it. The reason that's going there is because it's a revenge story, and the protagonist gets her revenge, so we kind of have a sense of satisfaction in that, so that's going in there. Itchy the Killer. I'm putting that under This Is Just Horror. I love Itchy the Killer. I think it's fantastic. I can think of something about Oldboy that's a little bit disturbing. But again, I'd probably put that under This Is Just Horror. Itchy the Killer is just fabulous. I don't think there's anything about it that I would warn someone about. I just think it's a great movie. Inside. Right, I'm going to be putting that under So Disturbing It Stays With You. So this is a movie about a woman that wants to steal another woman's baby, but that other woman's baby is still inside her. And I think this is French, if I'm right. Obviously, it's very bloody, it's gory, it's to any woman that's had a baby. It's very disturbing, the thought. You never feel, I know in life I've never felt more vulnerable than when I was like heavily pregnant. You just, even in a crowded street when people are bumping into you and stuff and you've got your belly, you feel very vulnerable, and you know, the sort of idea of someone doing what happens in this movie is just repugnant. So yeah, it definitely is one that would stay with you, I feel. Martyrs. I love Martyrs. It's one of my favourite movies. I'm going to put that under So Disturbing It Stays With You. I love everything about this movie. I love the question about, you know, martyrdom and like what was whispered into that woman's ear at the end of this movie. Everyone's got a different opinion on what it was. I just think it's fabulous. It is disturbing, without a doubt it's disturbing. I would not recommend this to your average person that wants to watch like a horror, that isn't a big horror fan. You know, you'd recommend things like Scream or Final Destination or Halloween. I would not recommend Martyrs to your average movie fan, but it's fabulous. I don't want to put it in the top 2 tiers because there are things I think went too far. Martyrs just worked fantastically for me. Right, the next one is Megan is Missing, and I haven't seen it. I'm going to put it under This Is Just Horror. I know it's one that's like a found footage style, and it's about the evils of the internet. I do need to watch this one. Obviously it might not go in that category. I haven't seen it, so I'm just putting it in there. Need to watch Megan is Missing. Midsummer. I am going to put that under Disturbing Scene or Aspect. I really enjoy this. I know it's not for everyone. The disturbing scene for me is the theme with the old couple. I'll not say any more than that. And the actual why they were doing it and the fact that that's just something that was done is disturbing. You wouldn't want to be an old person in that environment, would you? That was disturbing but effective. I do like Midsummer. Mother. Okay, I'm toying between This Is Just Horror and Disturbing Scene or Aspect. I'll put it under Disturbing Scene or Aspect. This is a film that Jennifer, what's her name? That was in the Hunger Games. Is it Jennifer something? She said this was one of the hardest movies she's ever filmed. It does have very biblical connotations that you would not really be able to work out on a first watch. It does take several watches to sort of get all of the movie, I feel anyway. I haven't seen it in quite a long time. I do remember enjoying it. I do remember it being really, really thought-provoking. I'm putting it under Disturbing Scene or Aspect purely because I remember it staying with me afterwards, but I can't remember. God, can you hear that rain? It's pouring down here. I don't remember why that's... I have a terrible memory. That's no reflection on the movie, guys. My memory's just shocking. I use Letterboxd to check whether I've seen something or not all the time. Raw. So that has to go under Disturbing Scene or Aspect because the aspect is cannibalism. Was the person in this also a vegetarian? I'm sure they were to start with. So again, this movie doesn't disturb me. I'm actually moving that down. I'm going to put that under This Is Just Horror because I didn't find it disturbing. I just find it really interesting. I don't feel that it's anything that pushes the boundaries too much, personally. It was an entertaining movie, so it goes under This Is Just Horror for me. See what I mean? What disturbs people's different. People's line is in a different place completely. So, yeah. What's this one? The Resurrection Man. I haven't seen that. Can I leave ones at the bottom that I haven't seen? I'm just going to leave that down there. I have not seen The Resurrection Man. Let me know if I should be watching it. Saw. Oh, one of my favourite movies. I am going with This Is Just Horror. I loved Saw. Saw gave me that chill. Right at the end when the twist happens, I had a shiver that runs through my body from top to bottom. And I was like, yes! It was the same shiver when we find out who Kaiser Sose is and the walk changes. Just when you're completely taken by surprise, and it's so rare that happens in a movie. And I remember they were playing the dun 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 dun, the Saw music when that was happening. And every time I hear the Saw music still to this day, I get a shiver. I love it. So it's going under This Is Just Horror, but please do not be fooled. It's fantastic horror, but I've watched that movie so many times. I love it. Sinister. That's definitely going under This Is Just Horror. It didn't really work for me. I thought it was okay. I thought there were certain imagery in it that was a bit creepy. But like the Conjuring movies, I know people hate me for it, they don't really disturb or work for me. And my biggest scary thing is like anything to do with ghosts or the paranormal or haunting stuff. But for me, Sinister and the Conjuring movies just didn't do it. I don't know why. I'm a bit weird like that. Speak No Evil. Is that the one about the family that go to stay with the other family and the other family is really rude and obnoxious? Is it that one? I'm going to think it's that one. These images are tiny, folks. So I'm going to say This Is Just Horror for that one. I thought it was very good. I enjoyed it. Apologies if I'm getting these movies wrong, guys. It was irritating and frustrating by all means. Especially the fact that the couple didn't just leave earlier. You knew where it was heading. It was very predictable. But I wouldn't say it was anything outstanding. You know, when I say it wasn't anything particularly, oh my god, don't watch that, it's really disturbing. So I'm putting it in This Is Just Horror. I think we've got Terrifier coming. Is this the first one? These little tiny, let's say, is that the first one or the second one? We'll say it's the first one, I'm not entirely sure. I'm going to put that under disturbing scene or aspect. If it is the first one, you know what the scene is. It's the upside down scene. Obviously that's the one everyone talks about. That's the one that stays with you. While we're on it, let's pull the other one up. And let's put that in the same place, because we have that scene on the bed in Terrifier 2, which is very gory, which is very OTT. But also, you know what? Let's put them under extremely disturbing but camp, because nothing's in there yet. And even though what you're seeing is awful, there's a degree of separation from it, I feel, because everyone loves Art so much. Art the Clown is, as a character, is fabulous, and that scene with a woman, it was like, even though it is horrific, it's so, like, it pushes the boundaries so far that you can't help but like, oh, rather than sit in complete shocked silence. You know, I'm going to put that under extremely disturbing but camp, and I hope you know what I mean. Well, my page is gone. What have we got next? The Exorcist. So disturbing it stays with you. I'm not the biggest fan of The Exorcist. I need to watch it again. I did not see it until adulthood. I was in my late teens, I think, when I saw The Exorcist for the first time. I think it's a very good movie. It's very well made, very well acted. There's certain scenes in it that are, the scene with the crucifix is a bit, I don't like it. So yeah, I'm going to say so disturbing it stays with you. But The Exorcist has never been one of my favourite movies, but that's just a personal thing. Obviously, I know it's a classic and it's fabulous. What's next? The Girl Next Door. I'm going to have to leave that on the bottom. I think I have seen it, but I don't remember enough about it to put it in this list, so it's going to have to stay down there. Last House on the Left. I have seen this, but it's a long time ago. I seem to remember it's about two girls, and it's pretty, I think it's one of those that show things for titillation, which I'm going to put it under here. I think it's one that has the assaults thing done in a way that's quite just not what I want to see. If you want to portray an assault in, and I'm talking about essay here, what you're not allowed to say, if you're going to portray that in a horror movie, portray it how it actually is. Make people cringe watching it, make people's toe curl, make people feel uncomfortable. I think about the French movie with Monica Bellucci. What is it called? I'll try and put it on the screen, I've forgotten. It might actually be on here, we might get to it. There's a French movie with Monica Bellucci, which is fabulous, which has a scene of essay, which is, it's hard going, but that is what you should be putting in movies. You should be showing people the reality, not titillation. Right, I'm off my soapbox, people. The Loved Ones, that's definitely disturbing but camp. It's Australian as far as I remember. It's very gory, but it's one of those where you're just like cheering the person on. It's like, I don't know why, it's just a lot, it's disturbing but easy to watch for me. I don't know why. I'm not going into detail about what each of these movies are about, but that's about a girl going to her like high school prom that's had enough of taking shit from people. I should show you the outtakes of this, of me trying to zoom in on things and see what the hell it says. The next one is The Sadness. This is going under disturbing scene or aspect. The Sadness is really OTT. It's very gory, delightfully so. I really enjoyed it. There is a SA scene which is quite disturbing in there, but it's not done for titillation. I wouldn't say it stays with you. It's just really OTT, really gory, really gross. But I like movies like that, so I would say for some people it could be under the this one, Vile Evil Shock Value. It was my bag. I enjoyed it. What can I say? Oh right, yeah. Is this Eyes Without a Face? I can't see that. I know the one. It's the one with Antonio Banderas as a plastic surgeon. Right. Okay. The Skin I Live In. It's called. He's a plastic surgeon in this, and he's doing this work on this girl to make her look a certain way. But it's a really good movie. I highly recommend it. Yeah. Can't say any more about that one. The Woman, right, I have not seen this. I'm going to leave it at the bottom, but Emma has said that this movie is just about a woman being abused, and she hates it. She thinks it's vile, and she put it under truly traumatizing. I haven't seen it, and with her saying that, I don't want to see it. Tusk, I have not seen Tusk, but I am going to put it under there. From everything I've heard about it, I really want to see it. It looks funny, it looks ridiculous, it looks like my kind of thing, so I need to see Tusk. As I say, I haven't seen it, guys. So When Evil Lurks, that comes under disturbing scene or aspect. I'd be between that and this is just horror. The reason I put it under disturbing scene is because they don't pull punches when it comes to kids in this. And generally, that's not something most movies go to. Usually, movies are like, don't hurt the kids. That's too far. But this movie's like, nothing is too far, and they go there. It's a good movie. It's a gory movie, but it's not as disturbing as some higher on that list. I enjoyed it. I thought it was refreshingly different, and I liked the fact that they went places that movies generally don't go. It's nice to have that wall broken sometimes. Dead Girl. Right, Dead Girl is going under Vile Evil Shock Value. Dead Girl, let's just say SA, multiple times. The girl is the undead. She is found by a group of young, and can't remember if it's young men or like older teenagers. I can't remember, who decide that they are going to use and abuse her. It's a very weird movie. It's a very difficult to watch movie, especially if you're female. It's not something I would ever watch again. Emma feels very similarly. She was not a fan either. So yeah, that goes under Vile Evil as far as I'm concerned. We're nearly there, folks. Excision. Right, I'm going to put that under disturbing but camp. This is a very disturbing subject matter. There's a young girl who reminds me a lot of the protagonist from Ginger Snaps and the younger sister, and also the girl from Raw, who is a bit misunderstood, is a bit of an outcast, is picked on a little bit at school, who is obsessed with surgery, procedures, cutting, and this sort of all builds towards quite the finale. But I always felt a little bit separated from it. I always felt things were a little bit OTT. I did really enjoy this movie, don't get me wrong, but I always felt that there was something there to stop the disturbing becoming too much. It almost felt a bit comic book in places. It is a good movie, but I don't feel it's disturbing on the same gritty level as things like I Spit in Your Grave, Martyrs. You know, they're very gritty, disturbing, raw movies. That, although it has a gross sort of like gory subject matter, I do feel that it sort of like allows you distance from it for somehow. I'm not intelligent enough to explain why. Eden Leck, right, talking about really gritty. I'm going to go for So Disturbing It Stays With You. Eden Leck is fabulous. It's the story of a couple who are, I believe, camping, who are being tracked down throughout the movie by a group of, I can't remember if it's just men or men. I think it's just men, but I can't be sure. This has one that has an ending that had me shouting at the television, but when I came away from it, I admitted it was a fabulous ending. Really raw, really real, very realistic effects, very disturbing, really difficult to watch, and yes, most definitely stays with you. That's the kind of horror movie that works for me. Barbarian, that's going to go under extremely disturbing but camp. No, we don't want it there. I struggle with that one between extremely disturbing but camp and disturbing scene or aspect, because I'm going to say breastfeeding scene. Now, you will have been a mixture of disgusted, reviled, and amused, I'm sure. So even though what you're seeing is terrifying when the reveal happens, it's scary as hell, it's also a bit funny. Am I wrong, or is that just my head? You're disturbed, but at the same time you can't help but smirk at that particular scene. Again, there's a degree of removal from what's happening because of the spectacle of what you're looking at. I wanted an extra half hour on this movie. I did enjoy it, but not as much as other people, I think. I feel that too many questions were left unanswered, and I wanted more of what had went on down there. I'll not say any more than that. But yeah, I'll say that there was a fresh degree of separation for me in that one. Two more, guys. Audition. Right, I am going to go with... I'll go with disturbing scene or aspect. This is a Japanese horror that's a bit weird. I'm surprised things like Old Boy isn't in here. Audition has one scene in it where the main protagonist has a really high-pitched noise, and I can't remember exactly what it is she makes this noise while she's doing something, and it's like, you know when you're transfixed and you're like, what on under God are you doing, and why am I watching it? It has that. Now, it just makes me feel a bit, what is happening? Rather than disturbed, but I think it does disturb most people, so I'm putting it under disturbing scene. This is a story about a load of young women being auditioned for a part, and one of them is a little bit not right. I don't want to say any more. It's a very strange movie. If you're a horror fan, you're bound to have seen Audition. I feel there are many, many more Japanese movies that are much superior to that one, and I find it really odd that that appears on the list. I find the concept of the twist in Old Boy much more disturbing than Audition, but there you go. I mean, I Saw the Devil's not in here, but Itchy the Killer is. Battle Royale's not in here. Anyway, the last one here is Found. I'm going to put it under disturbing scene or aspect. It's a movie about a young boy that finds out his older teenage brother, I believe it's a serial killer. It's kind of done in a like a found footage kind of style. It may be Australian, but don't quote me on that, I may be wrong. It's quite gritty, it's quite down to earth, it's quite realistic, and sort of the psychological side of things that the boy's going through, I think a lot of people would find quite disturbing. There's a movie called, I put it up there, is that it? Headless? Yeah, Headless. I think there's a movie within a movie in Found, and I believe that Headless is either based on Found or it's a movie that they were watching within Found. Headless links to the Found movie. I can't remember exactly how, but if you watch Emma's tier list, which I will link, she explains it. I haven't seen Headless, but she told me enough to know that I didn't want to see it. Found is one of those movies that a lot of people don't really like. Kind of like Henry Portrait of a Serial Killer. Some people love it, some people hate it, and I think Found's quite similar. It's quite slow, quite drama based, quite psychological. So I think it has disturbing aspects psychologically, which is why I'll put it there. So there we go, folks. Those three I haven't seen: Resurrection Man, The Woman, and The Girl Next Door. I think I have seen The Girl Next Door, I just don't remember at the minute. There's my list. Obviously I'm not traumatized by an awful lot. You can see everything that's at the top, other than Headless, which I haven't seen, kind of have similar aspects. So there you go, that's my list, guys. What do you think? Where would you put yours? Do a tier list if you want. I would be interested to see where you put the movies. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Hopefully it won't be too long till I'm back with you again. I find these tier lists really interesting. I may do more in the future on other subject matters. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Over and out from Lisa Loves.